I'm Andrew Murata, host of the Education, Leadership, and Beyond podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you are listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
In this episode of the House of EdTech, I'm going to explore why it's okay to be overwhelmed by artificial intelligence and how to deal with it. I'm also going to discuss the challenges and the opportunities that AI presents. I've also got some awesome EdTech recommendations for you. We're going to talk about screen recording tools, and it's the end of the year. You know what that means. Strike up the band. Welcome to the House of EdTech. My name is Chris Nesi. The House of EdTech launched in 2014, giving me the opportunity to speak with teachers, leaders, and creators so you can more effectively integrate technology, strengthen your pedagogy, and have more confidence in your classroom and school so you can make an impact. Get involved with the podcast by visiting my website, chrisnesi.com. Using technology isn't difficult, and this is where it begins. This is the House of EdTech. And we're back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are a new listener, thanks for making this a part of your anytime, anywhere professional development. And if you're a returning listener, welcome back. Great action-packed AI episode here for you today. But first, couple of housekeeping items here at the start of the show. One, I teased at the very end of the last episode in episode 234, and if you didn't listen to the end, well, you're going to hear about it now for the first time. But here we are at the end of October 2023. And if it's the end of October, well, hey, it might as well be the end of the calendar year. And what that means, if you are a longtime listener, and if you're new, hey, get ready to get on board. It's almost time for the 2023 House of EdTech Smackdown. This is going to be episode number 239, coming up in just a few episodes. And this is my last episode of the calendar year, and this is very special because this is the 10th EdTech Smackdown here on this podcast. When I launched House of EdTech back in 2014, I thought about different types of episodes that I could do on a regular basis, and the House of EdTech Smackdown was one of those episodes. So here's how it works. It's not like a traditional Smackdown when you go to a conference and everybody throws down their best EdTech tools to try and, get the most applause in the room. Let's be honest, that's silly. But what we're going to do here is have you submit your favorite EdTech tool that you have loved or gotten so much value from here in 2023, and you're going to record a little message, and you're going to send it to me, and I'm going to compile all of this in the last episode of the year. Again, it's going to be episode 239. You need to get your submission to me by December 1st, 2023. And if you want to go back and see the types of tools that have been submitted, here is my annual shout out to Derek Larson, former guest and substitute host of the podcast. He has compiled in a Google Sheet all the things that have been shared on the EdTech Smackdown here over the last 9 years. Although I was looking, and he didn't do last year's yet. So, Derek, if you're listening, I need you to update it and put 2022's on there. But go to chrisnesi.com/all-time-smackdown, and there'll be a link in the show notes. You don't have to remember it. And you can check out what other people have recommended. And it's okay if there are repeats. If you love something like Flip, and Flip was on last year's or the year before's, go ahead. Tell me how much you love Flip or Wakelet, or whatever tool or education technology has helped make your life easier, make your students' lives better. I want to hear about it, and I want to share it with everybody else who listens to the podcast. So by December 1st, you want to submit that to me. You can do it in a couple of ways. You can send me an email, feedback@chrisnesi.com, and if you do that, you take your chances with the impression of you that I will do based on the words that you send me. So the best thing to do would be go to chrisnesi.com/voicemail and submit a voicemail message that I will play on that episode. Be sure to tell me who you are, your website, what you teach, where you teach, and then go on and on about your favorite EdTech tool. And let's make a great EdTech Smackdown episode to finish 2023. And I'll remind you again at the end of this episode and over the next couple of episodes as we get to that. Next up, I got a little bit of feedback, and feedback is what makes podcasts go. So I want to give a nice big shout out to Christine McCormick, who sent me the following email. Hello. I just finished listening to your podcast on using AI as your new teaching assistant, and I wanted to say thank you. I am a district office administrator and find that my administrators are struggling with the balance of using AI as a resource because of their fear about cheating or some other devilish consequences. I am facilitating a workshop in early November focusing on the use of AI for the power of good. Thanks for adding to my thinking with your podcast, and I will share it as a great resource in my training. I don't know how I would do my job if I didn't take advantage of how ChatGPT does the initial thinking for many routine tasks. I now think, could I use ChatGPT for this before I overthink? Thanks again, Christine. Christine, thank you so much for your email. First, I appreciate that you listened to the podcast, and of course I appreciate it even more that you took the time to reach out and connect with me. Now, whether we're talking about admin or classroom teachers, there are still a lot of people who don't see the value in AI, or they're scared, or, as we're going to talk about in this episode, they are overwhelmed. Then, there are people who are only concerned with stopping kids from cheating. Insert ominous voice. Wait, I think I can do that. Let's try.
Stop kids from cheating.
Right, that's how some people act. As I've said in multiple places, this is the worst that AI will be, and it's only going to get better and become more woven into our lives and this profession. AI won't steal someone's job, but someone who knows how to use it will. And Christine, if you need any help that I can give you for facilitating your PD session, please let me know, and I would be happy to help. And again, thank you for sending in an email. If you, listening now, want to send an email to me, send it. feedback@chrisnessy.com, and I'd be happy to share it and talk about it here on a future episode. Now, let's get into this episode's House of EdTech recommendation.
And now it's time.
I'm just kidding. Fun with sound effects. Today I want to talk about 5 of the best free screen recorders. Now, whether you need to record your screen for personal use, maybe teacher side hustle, or you're creating content for your classrooms, or really anything, right? We all at times need to record what's going on our screens. There are several great free options, and I'm going to share with you 5 options that I think are really, really good. And for the most part, they are free or freemium. We're going to kind of count it down. This is what I think is a great order. Number 5 is ShareX. ShareX is a free and open source program for Windows that is great for taking screenshots and includes a built-in screen recorder with no watermarks and no time limits. It's light on system resources, so it's good for older computers as well. You can directly upload your videos to YouTube or other video hosting services. The downsides are there is no button to start or stop recording. You do have to use keyboard shortcuts. And some users have reported no audio in recordings, so you may need to make sure that your microphone settings are correct. And that is ShareX. Number 4, Flashback Express. From BlackBerry. That's right, BlackBerry. Flashback Express is simple to use and easy to set up. It is no watermarks or time limits. You can record any part of the screen, and it also offers direct YouTube uploads. It does have a limitation of 720p for your exported video resolution. You could also upgrade to Flashback Pro for $49 to get resolutions up to 4K. So you do what you need to do. All right? Flashback Express. Number 3, NVIDIA ShadowPlay and AMD ReLive. So if you've got the NVIDIA GeForce or AMD Radeon graphics cards in your computer, ShadowPlay and ReLive may already be installed. Similar features to record the screen and live broadcast are also available, so you can do some things to live stream to YouTube or, say, Twitch. Let's say you're doing that as a part of what you're doing in education, or you just want to upload. You can consider both of these. Now, these are only going to be available in Windows 10 and 11, and you do need at least 2 gigabytes of RAM to avoid lag in your recording and your streaming. Number 3, ScreenRec. ScreenRec is cross-platform, full of tools, and also light on system resources. It is completely free, no limits or watermarks. You can also save encrypted recordings to the cloud, but for a limited time and up to 2 gigabytes of storage. It was originally only available on Windows, but it is also available on Mac as well. And the number one screen recording tool, and I'm a big fan of this as well, is OBS Studio. OBS is the creme de la creme. It is the absolute best free and open source recorder for Windows and Mac. There's no ads, no watermarks, no limits. It includes multi-view to manage scenes. You can customize your layouts, and there's also support for great plugins. It's a very community-supported app. Now, I'm not going to lie, it is a very steep learning curve. But if you go out to YouTube Community College, you could certainly find a lot of great tutorials out there to learn how to use OBS Studio. Just know that you need at least 4 gigabytes of RAM, and you do need a dual-core CPU for it to run smoothly. It is the best free option if your system can handle it. Now, if you use another screen recording tool, let me know what your favorite screen recording tool is so I could check them out. And there are other ones I did not name here. I know that there are a lot of web-based ones that are great for Chromebooks and things, but sometimes you need something with a little more kick. So let me know what your favorite screen recording tool is, and I'll be happy to share it on a future episode. Maybe that could be your House of EdTech Smackdown entry. I don't know. But what I do know is that's my EdTech recommendation. Are you overwhelmed by artificial intelligence? Let me tell you, it's perfectly okay. AI is, of course, rapidly evolving. And I understand that it can be difficult for you and I as educators to keep up with the latest developments. Heck, I could have done the last 6 or 7 episodes all about artificial intelligence. I could recommend a different AI tool for teachers in every episode, basically in all of 2023. And I don't see an end in sight. But let's take a step back. Let's pause, okay? AI is often presented as a solution to all of the problems, right? And that's what it's going to be presented as. Here's the tool that's going to do everything for you. And there's no getting around it. There are tools out there that can do a lot for you. I just talked about Diffit briefly in a recent episode of the podcast, okay? It is perfectly normal to feel overwhelmed, especially by artificial intelligence. But it's okay. It's going to become more integrated and you're going to get PD on it, all right? So let's consider some additional questions, all right? What are the biggest challenges and opportunities that AI presents for us as educators? There are a few things that we can do to stay ahead of the curve and avoid being left behind. Number 1, stay informed about the latest developments in AI. Read articles, watch videos, listen to podcasts, go to professional development sessions at conferences on AI. And there's no beating around the bush here. We are going to see a lot of AI-centric sessions, right? I mean, just think of what ISTE 2024 is going to be like after like 2 years of using AI in education. Okay, there was a lot in ISTE 2023. Watch out, all right? You've also got to experiment with these AI tools and resources. You can't just sit around and just be scared of it. You've actually got to dive in. You've got to get, metaphorically speaking, you got to get your hands dirty with this, all right? There are so many free and open source AI tools available. ChatGPT, Bard, Claude, just to name a few. And those are the 3 that I am playing with personally. You've also got to collaborate with other educators and experts in AI. Put out a tweet, X, Thread, Instagram, put something out there about your curiosity and start to connect with other people who are using it. You've also got to focus on developing your skills with artificial intelligence, right? The term prompt engineer shouldn't go over your head, or prompt in general. You've got to take the online courses, find the free information, read the books, read the articles, attend the workshops. You've got to put in the work. Now, it's also important for us to remember that we don't need to be experts in AI to use it in our classrooms. Allow me to repeat that. You don't need to be an expert in AI to use it in your classroom. There are many simple and easy to use AI tools available, and we can start to automate so many tasks, such as creating rubrics, grading papers, providing feedback. Okay? Here are some specific tips for you on how to stay ahead of the curve and avoid being left behind. Number 1, follow some thought leaders on social media who are talking about artificial intelligence. Read their blog posts, watch their YouTube videos. Okay? They are out there. Subscribe to newsletters and podcasts on artificial intelligence. I'm going to recommend a podcast in just a minute. Attend webinars, go to conferences, take the online courses, join any professional organizations that are focusing on AI in education. Experiment with the tools in your classroom. Experiment with AI at home. This is not just another thing. This is not a fad. Okay, we're not talking about smartboards here. So you've got to actually, and I'm going to say this a lot, you've actually got to try to use it. Okay? If you have no idea where to start, send me an email, feedback@chrisnessy.com, and I am more than happy to set up time with you, get on a Google Meet, and let's chat. I'll share my screen, ask me questions. I want to help you. So all you need to do is reach out and ask. So if you had no idea who you could reach out to, let me be first on your list. What are some specific ways, as we kind of move forward here, that AI is actually overwhelming educators? Okay. Now, there are many ways that you can use AI to your advantage. AI can be used to personalize learning. You can create personal learning experiences for each student. I shared an example a number of episodes ago where last school year, I easily and quickly created some outlines to guide students with some research on a project in my history classroom. The questions, the outlines that guided their research were unique to the topics that they were doing their project on. And prior to AI, I would have never have had the time to create such individualized resources for each kid. And those projects turned out so wonderful. And they were also podcast related, so I kind of helped with that too. AI can automate tasks. Okay? It can help you grade student writing. It can help you provide feedback. This can free up time for you to focus on other things, such as lesson planning, which, by the way, AI can help you plan your lessons. You can get AI to help you write objectives and check all the boxes that your district might be asking you to check off in whatever flaming hoops you need to jump through with some of the digital paperwork, as they say. AI can help you with that. You just have to start playing with it to get it to do what you want it to do. All right. I think I mentioned last episode that if you don't know how to use AI, go ask AI how it can help you and ask it for help. It will help you. Help it help you? I don't know. So, there's a scene from Jerry Maguire running through my head. Help me help you. All right. Just don't show me the money. Or, I mean, you could show me the money. I'm having fun here. Next. AI can help you make learning more engaging. AI can be used to create interactive learning experiences. For example, AI can be used to create simulations, games that could help students learn new concepts. I was somewhere on the internet and I saw somebody make mention of if you do escape rooms, physical escape rooms or digital escape rooms in your classroom, you can use AI to quickly generate the narrative or the story that kind of ties all the clues together. How great is that? If that was something holding you back, AI can help you do it. AI can also help you provide real-time feedback, right? You can not only use AI to help you create feedback, but you can also teach your students how to interact with these AI tools and get feedback on their work before they even turn it into you. And there's a big difference between cheating and using it as a tool. Okay? And I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in the last episode. If I didn't, shame on me, but I'm going to say it here. Students have been cheating for millennia, right? And they're going to find new ways to do it. We cannot restrict or not allow students to use AI because the world that they're going to live in, beyond their education, AI is going to become ever more present. Instead of designing assignments that can very easily be done and would have to be done without AI because they're so individualized and so personalized that there's no way that AI can do it. Let's shift our thinking and design assignments that require the use of artificial intelligence so we can teach students how to use it. And again, let's go back to you don't need to be the expert to use AI in your classroom. Some of your students might be so far ahead of you. So what? Learn something from them. How do we stay ahead of the curve and avoid being left behind by AI? Stay informed. Experiment. Collaborate with other educators. I am sure that there is somebody in your building, in your district, that is already doing this and using AI either with their kids or to make their life easier as an educator. Find those people. Okay, it's important for educators like you, like me, to remember that there is so much value here. And again, for like the fourth time this episode, you do not need to be the expert to use AI in your classroom. Okay? Here are some tips that I will end with. Follow those thought leaders that are talking about AI on social media. Search hashtag AI in EDU and see who is talking about it. Subscribe to newsletters and podcasts. As I said, great recommendation, Alana Winnick, recent guest of the podcast, a friend of mine. She's from New York. She recently wrote a book on AI that we talked about in the episode that she appeared on. She's got her own podcast about AI in education called The Generative Age. I will include a link to that in the show notes for this episode. Those will be out at chrisnessy.com/235, or they're a swipe or a tap away in the app that you're listening to right now. Again, any PD that's out there or being offered, go sign up for it. It's not, if it costs money, it's an investment in you. It's an investment truly in your students, because if you can learn it and turnkey it, your kids are going to be that much more empowered and benefit more in the long run because of you. Okay? And again, experiment with it. Using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try. Using AI isn't difficult. Just give it a try. Okay? And again, how can you use AI to your advantage? You can use AI-powered tutoring programs. You can find these out there, recommend them to your kids to help with their homework, prepare for tests, right? I was talking to a college student who was preparing for a microbiology midterm recently. And I told her, oh, do you have a study guide? She said, yes, I do. I said, is it digital? Is it something your professor typed up? She said, yes. I said, go to ChatGPT, give it your study guide, paste it in, and say, help me prepare for this exam. And I saw her a week later, and I said, did you try it? She said, yes. I said, how did it go? She said, wonderful. I rest my case. What are some self-care strategies that you can use to manage this overwhelm? And this might be what you tuned in for. It's important for you to remember to take care of yourself. Here's some quick strategies. 1, set realistic expectations for yourself. You can't do everything, and nobody is expecting you to use every AI tool out there. Like anything in education technology, and I know Jake Miller talked about this when he used to do his podcast. Right tool, right time, have a purpose. You don't need to be able to use everything. Take breaks. All right? You don't need to use AI with everything. But I'm going to be honest with you. Once you start to use AI, you're going to continue to find uses for it. Okay? And again, here's the big one. Ask for help if you need it, whether you are asking AI to help you or if you reach out to someone like me. Don't be afraid to admit that you're overwhelmed, and don't be afraid to ask for help. You can do that by emailing me, feedback@chrisnessy.com. If there's anything you want to get off your chest or express about AI and education, I've got my ears and eyes ready to listen and read. And again, it's okay. You're going to be fine. But you gotta get in. You've got to get in. So pick an EdTech tool that has AI. Dive in. That's really all I can say. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the House of EdTech. If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe or follow the podcast so you can make it a part of your anytime, anywhere professional development. To get the most out of the show, be sure to check out the show notes for this episode, which you can find at chrisnessy.com/235. I also genuinely enjoy hearing from you, just like I enjoyed getting the email from Christine that I shared in this episode. I value your feedback, and I certainly want to know your perspective. Whether you have thoughts or questions on a recent episode or any other EdTech-related topic, don't hesitate to reach out. My email is feedback@chrisnessy.com. Or, this is a podcast, I like voicemail, go to chrisnessy.com/voicemail. I'm eager to connect with you. If you know someone who would benefit from listening to this podcast, share it with them, please. Spreading the word on social media, or better yet, word of mouth, always the best way to share a podcast. Your efforts will help me reach a wider audience of educators who will also get value from the show. Thank you for helping me in advance for expanding the House of EdTech. Lastly, I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but it takes me quite a number of hours to produce this podcast twice a month. And I actually factored it out, I did the math, and I make something like $2 and change an hour to produce this podcast. And if you're getting value, I would invite you to consider giving back to the show and becoming an awesome supporter. If you get value from my content, I would be incredibly grateful for your support. I want to take a moment and thank my current awesome supporters. Thank you to Jeff Herb, Peggy George, Dan Gallagher, Mike Messner, Matt Miller, Brian Carpenter, and Aaron Cummings. If you're getting value from this podcast, become an awesome supporter by visiting chrisnessy.com/awesome. Your generosity will go a long way in helping me to continue delivering content to you and the entire House of EdTech community. Also, consider becoming a part of the Discord. Go to chrisnessy.com/discord. Next episode of the podcast will be number 236, and that's going to come your way on November 12th, 2023. Until next time, thank you for learning with me, and remember, using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try. Hey, I'm still here. Last reminder, episode 239 is the 2023 House of EdTech Smackdown, and you've got to get your entries to me by December 1st, 2023. To check out everything that's been said already, and again, you can repeat it if it's really good, go to chrisnessy.com/all-time-smackdown. Talk to you in the next episode.